What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Bass East Basscast. On the phone with us today, we've got Elite Series Pro Andy Montgomery. What's going on, Andy?
Nothing much, man. Enjoying the fall.
No doubt, man. The leaves are starting to change. I know you got hunting on the brain, but we want to talk a little bit about fall fishing today.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good time of year for everything. Hunting, fishing, it's my favorite time of year.
Well, look, the leaves are starting to change a little bit. Temperatures are definitely dropping, and it affects the bass. When you show up at a lake and it may be the first time you fished it since the temperatures have started to fall a little bit. What do you look for first?
I start in the back, either in the backs of big toes or in the backs of creeks. You know, fall of the year, the shad kind of migrate towards the backs of, stuff, creeks, toes, whatever. And, it's just a good place to start on anywhere in the country, really. Just start in the very backs of the creek and look for bait fish. You know, in the fall of the year, the fish got one thing on their mind, that's eat. It's not like springtime where some of them might be eating, some of them might be spawning. Fall of the year, all they worried about is eating. So, look for the biggest concentration of bait, and that's a good place to start.
Is there any particular water temperature that you kind of key in on when you're looking for these big groups of shad?
No, they're not, because I'm a big believer that the fish and wildlife in general, hunting a lot. But wildlife in general goes by the length of the days more than they do temperature, and I'm a big believer in that. So, regardless if we have a warm fall, a cold fall, my experience is they do the same thing based on the length of the days and the time of the year and stuff. So, anytime mid-September, going into October, that's when they start migrating towards the back. It's all about the length of the days.
And how about as far as a search bait? Is there any particular bait that you use as a favorite bait to look for those fish?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can use in the fall, really. The new Strike King Raised Blade is a real good one to put your trolling motor down in the back of a creek and cover a lot of water. The KVD 1.5 is another good one. A little square bill crankbait to do the same thing, cover a lot of water. And a lot of times you'll see in the fall the fish actually eating the bait. And then your red eye shads are real good on schooling fish. Fish school a lot in the fall. And they're going to school in the back of these creeks and coves that I'm talking about because that's where the bait's at. So whenever you get in that situation, a red eye shad's good, a spinner bait's good. So, the fall there's just a lot you can do. And when you find a creek or a big cove that's got a concentration of fish that you catch on them moving baits, and then you can go back around them with a rodent or a structured jig or something, pitch around at whatever objects are in their docks, lay down stumps, whatever type of fish holding cover there is.
So in the fall, it's pretty important to be able to cover a lot of water. I know you've had some time to play with these new Tatula reels. What are you thinking so far?
Right. I mean, in the fall is a big deal making long casts, to schooling fish like I'm talking about. So, the Tatulas, they cast 10 to 20% further than an ordinary reel with the T-wing system. So, you can see the big benefit to the Tatula reel in the fall just because you can cast so far and you can get to these fish that may be busting on shad, just a little bit out of reach of a normal reel that's not got the T-wing system. Well, with the Tatula, we can get to them. And, even with the high gear ratios, we got an 8-to-1 gear ratio. So when you make that really long cast, you got enough speed in your reel to get the good hook set in them and get the fish in the boat.
Well, Andy, you've got us headed in the right direction on the water for the fall. And I got one last question for you.
All right.
Have you got you a big buck picked out yet?
I killed one at my house. It weighed 200 pounds. It was a pretty good deer. Where I actually live is not a really good area to deer hunt. It's probably one of the worst in the country, honestly. But luckily I got some friends scattered out all over the country, and I get to go to some pretty good places. I've already been to Santee, around Santee Cooper Lake this year. It's really good down there, and just got back from Kentucky, hunted a little bit out there, and I'll go to Alabama, and I'll get to go to South Texas. So I get to hunt some pretty good places besides my house.
All right, so here's the question: would you rather
All
hunt
right.
or fish?
Yeah. Well, I used to rather fish until it became my job. So hunting is kind of an outlet for a lot of us pros with the stress of fishing for a living and the pressures that come with it financially and different stuff. So the fall is always fun to set up in a tree and kind of regroup. It's just so peaceful. There's nothing more peaceful than setting up in a tree on a crisp, cool fall afternoon, and even if you don't see any deer, it's just really peaceful. And I've always enjoyed since I was a kid just being an outdoor. So I love this time of year. Absolutely love it. Fishing a little bit too. I'm fishing the next 2 weekends in some local tournaments. So it's not a boring time of year for me. It's I stay busy.
Well, man, we certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be with us this afternoon. I'm sure it's going to help some guys put some more fish in their boat this fall.
All right.
Again, thanks a lot, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Enjoy it.